Yeah, Lynn and I busted out with literally first time ever playing the song. Turn the Page. It came out in 1973. Bob Seger. Linda calls him Bob Siegel, but it's Bob Seger, and it was like literally the first time we ever played it. Like, you know, just got the basic chords, tuned it to a certain degree. I have to. That guitar is very old. It's like from 2001. Bought it in New York, so it needs a little brush up on it. But yeah, we had the lyrics on the screen of the television that were, you know, on silent, and we just never sang it, never practiced it, and that was like the first time through, borderline karaoke pretty much. Only I was playing guitar, and it's a cool little song. I listened to it a few times. It's cool doing that, just playing it for like the first time, pretty much like a rehearsal almost. Yeah. It's the West 7th Bridge. They're having a music festival, Ubi, which I'm not going to really be able to go by it, I don't think. This is a slice one, so I have to drop this one off, and then I have another one. Big Silverado. You can get the top of the building right there. Going by the Plaza. See, that's Plaza C. Yeah, that's Burnett Plaza. There's I passed it earlier. It's a Methodist, United Methodist Cathedral. It's a cool little area, Burnett Park. It's kind of filmic. Got black and white photos of that building from high school. Did photography. I even developed the film myself. Just photography, like 35mm still photos. We go into the dark room. My friend knew how to portion out all the solution to the right degree, and then it's very strange how it's done. So when you snap a photo with a 35mm still photo, and then you develop it, the negative goes into this, like, it's almost like, it looks kind of like a little like a projector kind of thing, and it focuses, and then light goes through it, and then the glossy photo, or they call photographic paper, goes into the solution, into the water. Well, it's not water, it's solution. It goes into it. Then the light comes through, and it projects down on the paper through the water. And then it solidifies the photo, because the water's still, it has to be still. And then it's like in a tray, and you just wait. You have to be in like a dark room. Usually it's green, or it's blue, or it's red. I think ours was red, like a faint red. And then it just, then the photo just appears magically on the page, and then it solidifies. And you take it out with these, like, little, I guess you call them tongs, little tongs, and then you dry it. You dry it in the same room that you develop it in. I did several of those, from the camera to the development. Wish I had those photos. I think I don't know if I have any of those photos. I don't know where those photos are. They should have ended up in like an album or something. So it'll freeze, and it's hard to tell, at least you're keeping an eye on it. And it'll just, it's almost like it does a screenshot, and you can still hear it functioning, as if it's really functioning, but it's done it twice. The previous one, and then I think it did right on the other one, and then it froze on the second one. So it just looks like you're going in the right direction. But if it's not moving around, then yeah. So a long time ago, they used to do Shakespeare in the Park. I think it went out 2017. They stopped doing it. They need to bring it back, but it's right there. They did Shakespeare in the Park, right in here. Right in that building right there. So whether they keep on doing it, I don't know. I don't know the reason why they would stop. It's very strange. There's a lot of colleges involved and all kinds of stuff. Rob and I did a little scene right through here on a movie called Once in a Lifetime, and From Now Until Morning, and The Way of Man over that way. Next one, 84713, 5.6. I'm pretty sure they do Shakespeare in the Park in Dallas still. I know they do it in Austin. Probably Houston as well. But why all of a sudden just disappears from Fort Worth? I don't know. It'd be a great investigation to find out about. Because Shakespeare's timeless. Shakespeare will always be there, regardless of the opinion. It's now stuck, so I'm gonna unplug it and then replug it back in. I gotta get a new one of these. There we go. You see the movement. Yeah, you have to kind of watch it, make sure it's moving. There it goes. Now we're good. We'll be watching you very closely, making sure that you're moving. See it. I caught it now, and I figured out the little foil. Hitchcock would be proud. It's actually this house right here.
billing for the composer was usually as significant as for the director. That was Bernard Herrmann's music for Vertigo, here on WRR 101, performed by the Hollywood Bowl Symphony, conducted by John Mauceri. And before that, music by Bernard Herrmann for The Day the Earth Stood Still, and the Day the Earth Stood Still music was performed by the National Philharmonic, conducted by the composer. Here on WRR, FM and HD1, Dallas-Fort Worth, all classical, all the time. I'm David Ginn.
Yeah, it's cool doing that. The Vertigo soundtrack just came up. They were just playing it out of the blue. 101.1. Alec Baldwin, his voice would come up on a lot of those. Don't know about now, though. But you would hear him broadcasting, and it was Alec Baldwin. You know, he'd be giving the 101.1. But it was like classical night and some symphony thing. But, not as much, not much now as it used to be. I don't know. I hear Alec Baldwin's voice. It's Alec Baldwin. But Bernard Herrmann's score of Hitchcock's Vertigo. No. 922.7 2.1. I'm trying a new original chord, which is an older one, probably the one that will work. These Thunderbolts are, I think, the best thing they've invented for charging and for USB reading, but they switched everything over to the C. So it goes USB-C rather than USB Thunderbolt. I think that's how they say it. I don't think they say Thunder Flash. I think they say Thunderbolt. But in World War II, they said Thunder. And they would say Flash. He asked me how my day was going. I told him about the Thunder. So the Thunderbolt, it looks like this. So they change it to a C drive. You can still find these, but they're costly. This is an original one that came with the device, which works the best. It's always the original factory one. That's what they call it. They switched it over to a C. So that's because the Europeans. This thing is actually really good, though. So the internal wiring on the original manufacturing ones are built for the sake of USB connection. So you're going to get a type of cord that makes a big difference. Your knockoff cords or even the reproduction cords, it's probably not going to have the sensitivity of the internal cords on the manufacturer. So the makeup of the cord itself is done differently, because they know, especially these devices, they know that when you buy them, you are going to hook them up to a computer or something like that. The other ones, sometimes they think, well, it's mostly for charging. Not necessarily, because the other ones can get damaged. But you can order them at the Apple Store. Walmart occasionally has cords that connect to a power adapter and things for charging, and they will work with USB, but they're not as direct, meaning the connection is not as sensitive. So you have to go, crazy drivers, you have to go to the Apple Store and tell them your issue, and they'll, okay, you want a manufacturing cord, and they can get you one. Now remember, the cord that came with the phone, like for example, this is iPhone 11. would be an iPhone 11 manufacturing cord, right? So that makes a big difference too in sensitivity, because of the way the operating system and everything, it all works and blends together in a certain way. So, you know, that's something I'm gonna have to talk to Apple about, and, you know, it shouldn't be a big deal. The other ones will work. They just sometimes stick and stuff like that. And it can be just the makeup of the actual cord. And they have an answer for it. It's usually, some will say it's no difference at all. I've always found, especially when I worked with the Samsung 8, which was a C charge, I went through a period where I had to switch over to a new phone. I've eventually switched over to iPhone 11. But I could not find a cord that would charge it other than being charged at home. So I was working for Drooble, and I'd literally get down on my hands and knees and pray, hoping that I would get at least 3 or 4 before the battery would go, and I have to come back home to recharge. Whoops, there we go. And so, you know, it was a very weird thing. And so I went through that. It was very, because of the fact my boss was my phone and Grubhub was my boss, I had to have everything working correctly. And so I'd be like, oh man, I hope. And somehow I was able to pull at least $40 or $50 before I'd have to go back to charge. I finally found a cord, and this is just a private matter because I use my Samsung 8 mostly now. I use it as a remote control for the television, but it'll still do screenshots. It'll still get online. I can sit there and read while I'm watching television with it. There's a Verizon cord that I have that actually works beautifully. It is a little sensitive, but it's a fast charge and it works just fine. It did not work at all when I was going through this horrible ordeal. So I'd go and try to find these, you know, C charges that go on the Samsung 8 to keep it working, and it was a nightmare. Now, the cord that I'm talking about, it has a special connector that's smaller, and it connects to the adapter, and then it goes into the wall because it's a Verizon cord for the Samsung 8 that's made for charging purposely. So it would not work in a vehicle. It doesn't go to a USB. It's not. It doesn't even try to trick you. So it doesn't go into a USB, it just goes into a plug and then it goes in. That one's still working fine. Really no problems at all. So I would eventually have probably switched. But like when I switched to my iPhone 11, and it should have been an iPhone 12 at the time when I bought it, I was just in heaven. I thought this was the greatest thing ever. I'm gonna see something real quick. I mean, I had the iMovie on there, and I was like, wow, I can start making these little videos. It was amazing. It was a big moment in my life. It was like climbing a mountain and being on top of the mountain and being like, wow, the iPhone. Now, let me tell you something about the Samsung 8 as opposed to the Samsung 7. The Samsung 7 was never hacked. I don't know the virus that hit the Samsung 8. I say it was hacked. It happened all in one night. It shut down on its own. I turned it back on. I was never allowed to access the camera on it. But I was still able to use Grubhub. But I'd have to take photos with the S7, send it up to my email, download the photo, and then give them the photo that was required to show the proof of the receipt for the Grubhub. So it would take longer. And it was, you know, tears. It was not a lot of tears, but some tears. So I have to go with 2 phones. The Samsung 7 was used for the photos and for uploading, and I could piggyback on the Samsung 8. I could piggyback, meaning I could, they call it tethering. I could tether for the internet, and then I could make those, you know. But listen, once I got the iPhone and the Apple and security was there, I was just like, thank goodness. It was like a big refresh. It was like a big breather. I was like, oh, thank goodness. You know, because mostly things that you want them to work. Yeah, it's working fine with the manufacturing cord. All right, looks like another night of delivery. We're gonna head back, see Linda and Kitty. There's Kitty. A little paw. All right, pizza time.
be a bad name.